Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Blame It on the Stars, where we give you an inside look to what's going on in the universe so you can blame your problems on the stars. It is Jade here.
And it's Kara.
And this week, we'll be talking all about Mercury entering Capricorn, and we're going to take a slight look ahead at Mercury Retrograde. But in case you missed it last week, Sagittarius season began. If you want to know more about everything that happens during Sagittarius season, listen to last week's episode before diving into this one.
And just to give you a heads up, next week we will tell you everything you need to know about Venus in Scorpio and the new moon in Sagittarius.
And with that being said, let's dive into the episode. Mercury enters Capricorn on December 1st at 9:32 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Per usual, the date and time are from the website astroseek.com. What you need to know. Capricorn is a very practical and very realistic sign. So when Mercury, the planet of communication, enters Capricorn, you'll notice a shift towards a more grounded and practical approach to communicating with others. People tend to be a lot more focused on concrete details and practical matters in their daily conversations.
How this affects you is your communication and thinking is going to be more meticulous and detail-oriented. As Mercury goes through the sign of Capricorn, you might find that you're paying more attention to details in your work, in your communication, and in any writing that you may be doing.
So why does this matter? Well, as you heard in last week's episode, or even in the Mercury and Sagittarius episode, or if you were paying attention at the very beginning, there is an upcoming Mercury retrograde that starts in Capricorn and goes into Sagittarius. So whatever's coming up during the first part of Mercury in Capricorn is going to be something you'll need to pay attention to. Some of those things include career and ambitions. And since this transit is all about communication, you might be thinking more about your long-term plans, your career goals, and overall just doing any type of long-term strategy work or thinking.
Something you might not know is that Capricorn isn't known for being overly expressive or emotional. So during this time, you might find that your communication is a little bit more reserved and controlled, that you are more specific and thinking through things before you say them.
Now, besides the upcoming retrograde, there will be a few key dates that happen prior that you're going to want to pay attention to. The first one will be December 2nd. Mercury will be sextile Saturn. This aspect can bring really a harmonious connection between how Mercury is all about thinking and Saturn is very disciplined and structured. It makes for a great time for practical thinking, planning, etc. So if you're looking to do any planning for the upcoming retrograde, December 2nd is a great day to sit down and get organized.
And then on December 7th, Mercury will be trine Jupiter. This aspect will enhance your communication, bringing a more optimistic and enthusiastic mindset. This is one of the more positive aspects that we will be experiencing before the retrograde happens. So definitely keep that in mind, and it's something to look forward to before we start reflecting.
And then on December 11th, Mercury is sextile Venus. Since Venus is about our relationships and Mercury is how we communicate, this is definitely an excellent day for being social and chatting it up with others. You can expect really harmonious and pleasant interactions. It's going to be a lot easier for you to express your appreciation for others. Since Venus is a very creative planet, it's definitely a good time for creative expression and creative thinking. Now, for the retrograde, we did want to talk about this earlier because, spoiler alert, this retrograde lasts for the whole holidays. I figured you would want to know about it sooner rather than later so you can get some pre-holiday planning done. You're welcome. So Mercury stations retrograde in Capricorn on December 13th at 2:09 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that could be the 12th if you are in the West Coast. What you need to know. Mercury retrograde periods are very notorious for bringing communication issues. In Mercury retrograde in the sign of Capricorn, this could manifest as difficulty in expressing things like our emotions, or if we have any thoughts that we want to articulate very clearly, it could be very challenging to have those conversations. So it's going to be a good time to just be overall pretty cautious when it comes to how you're communicating, and it's best to avoid making major decisions without careful consideration. That's not to say avoid all decisions, just be careful.
How this affects you is you're going to be more focused on reassessing your professional life goals and commitments. Even though Capricorn is a cardinal sign, and typically cardinal signs are known for taking initiative and getting things started, because this is a Mercury retrograde, this is not the best time to move forward with anything new. However, it is a good time to plan, reflect, break down the steps that you need to take in order to achieve your goals, and then to pursue them once the retrograde period is over.
So why this matters? Capricorn energy is very goal-oriented, and Mercury retrograde actually could make for a really good opportunity to sit down and reassess your long-term goals just in time for the new year. Great time to revisit those thoughts and plans you might have for 2024. You may find that you are reconsidering some of the ambitions that you have, any personal objectives you were working towards, and maybe finding ways to tweak your approach. Also, it's important to know that Capricorn energy can be very nostalgic. So you might also notice that there is a sense of nostalgia for maybe past aspirations that maybe you're thinking of giving another shot in the new year.
Something you might not know is that Capricorn energy is very patient and methodical. So during this Mercury retrograde, it's a good idea to adopt a more patient approach to the things that you're doing. Rushing into any decisions or trying to force progress could make things a little bit more complicated, or you might run into some challenges. Also, during this retrograde, Mercury will change signs from Capricorn into Sagittarius, so there will be a shift in the energy throughout this retrograde.
But before Mercury retrogrades into Sagittarius, the signs Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, and Libra, that is personal placement, Sun, Moon, Rising, Mercury, Venus, Mars, they are the more likely to be affected by both Mercury in Capricorn normal and Mercury retrograde in Capricorn. While Mercury is retrograde in Capricorn, there are two aspects it will make. So these are the two key dates you'll want to pay attention to. There are also more key dates that will come when Mercury enters Sagittarius, but we'll talk about them a little bit later in the Capricorn season episode. But for now, December 18th, Mercury retrograde will trine Jupiter. While Mercury retrograde periods are often associated with challenges, a positive aspect to a positive planet, Jupiter, can bring a positive twist. This is a really good opportunity to revisit past opportunities, to find solutions to maybe previous issues that you were facing. And it does add a sense of optimism during the retrograde.
And then on December 21st, Mercury retrograde will be sextile Saturn. Sextiles are a more positive aspect, so this can provide a bit of stability amidst all the things going on during the retrograde period. This is definitely a good day to review or revisit any plans that you have, to make practical decisions, and to approach communication with a grounded and structured mindset.
Now, that's that for the aspects Mercury retrograde makes while it's in Capricorn. But if you remember back when we did the Mercury and Sagittarius episode, we did give you a full rundown of all of the dates that are involved in the retrograde. I figured we would just bring them up once again in case you needed a refresher. The overall calendar, if you want to write this down, of Mercury retrograde is as follows. It technically started November 10th when Mercury entered Sagittarius, and the pre-shadow began on November 25th. As you heard, December 1st, Mercury entered Capricorn, and then December 13th, Mercury stations retrograde in Capricorn.
And then on December 23rd, Mercury retrograde will change from Capricorn into the sign of Sagittarius. Mercury retrograde will officially end on January 1st. On January 13th, Mercury will re-enter the sign of Capricorn, and then post-shadow will end on January 20th.
And if you're wondering, though, about what you can expect during the last week of Mercury retrograde when it's in Sagittarius, it's only there for, I think, 8 days. We will talk about that in the very near future. But before that, Venus will enter Scorpio and the new moon in Sagittarius will happen, which we'll talk about in next week's episode. If you're curious about anything that you just heard and you want to know how it affects you on a more personal level, then this is your reminder. We offer readings. If you want to book a reading, the link will be in the description.
And if you've never booked a reading with us before, then you could use the code STARS, all caps, STARS, for $20 off your first reading.
And that's pretty much it for this week's episode. If you want to stay in the loop with us and what is to come, then make sure you're following us on Instagram or on YouTube. We are at BLME The Stars. That is all for now, and we'll see you all next Monday. Bye.